When you say you paid to come up here, you paid your own expenses to come testify?
Of course, multiple times. I wasn't like compensated or written a check or anything like that. I got nothing, and this has cost me so much money. I wasn't paid by anybody.
We're back to my interview with Stormy Daniels. I want to let you know that Ms. Daniels was not paid for this interview. We do not do that under any circumstances. We also came to learn over the course of preparing for this interview and reporting out the circumstances under which we were going to be discussing these matters with her. We came to learn that she is in fairly dire financial circumstances because of her confrontation with Trump, as evidenced by the fact that she recently asked a friend, a man named Dwayne Crawford, to open an emergency GoFundMe campaign to try to pay the attorney's fees that she has incurred, and as she tries to hold on to her house. For that part of it, I'm going to let Ms. Daniels here explain. So the case in which you just testified was a criminal case brought by prosecutors. You were subpoenaed to be there just as a witness. The reason that you owe Trump money is a separate matter. Right. Your former lawyer, Michael Avenatti, who is now in prison for defrauding you and other clients, yes, brought a defamation suit against Trump by you. That case was thrown out, and Trump was awarded attorney's fees. Correct. And that totals, to make a long story short, it totals at about $600,000 that you need to pay Trump.
Correct. And I was never allowed to give testimony. They never saw my evidence. It was never ruled whether I was telling the truth or not. So for all those people that are out there saying you lost a defamation case because they found you to be a liar or untruthful, is not true. They never even looked at the case. Other side of that is Miss Carroll, E. Jean Carroll, was called the exact same things by Donald Trump. And not only did they accept her case and let her take the stand and let her have her day in court, they've given her millions. Right. Meanwhile, my attorney's fees have racked up to over $500,000.
Do you have any means of paying that?
No. And nor do I think I should. It's not fair.
In terms of what happens next, Judge Merchan just lifted the gag order. Mm-hmm. So he's still prohibited from attacking court staff and prosecutors and their families, but he is now free to attack jurors and witnesses, which means you. Right. When the gag order was in place, did you benefit from that at all? Are you worried about it being lifted?
No. I mean, he's going to say what he's going to say anyway. Yeah. I'm not afraid of what he could say about me or what he could call me. I'm telling the truth. I'm the only one that has continued to tell the truth. I can prove everything that I've ever said. So I'm not concerned about those things he might say. Yeah. I'm concerned of him saying something that will make his followers come after me more.
Has that changed over time, the character of the way people have come after you, the kind of language? How has it changed over time?
The biggest thing is that they're not hiding. They used to all be bots. Oh. You know, now they're using their real stuff. There's, Facebook threads from people in my own community planning to do things to my house and my family. I sent some messages over when Barrett was on another show, and they couldn't even air everything they said, graphic details about how they were going to rape everybody in my family, including my young daughter, before they killed them. Very graphic things talking about a child. But most importantly, Trump is trying to make an example out of me, of anybody who dare stand up to him. And I was served again day before yesterday. And they were trying to take my partner's house. It has nothing to do with me. He doesn't even own the house, technically. It's got a mortgage. The bank owns it. I don't own that house. I pay him rent every month because I split some bills with him, but I don't own it. My name's not on the title. I didn't put any money down on this house. They're trying to take his house. They're demanding personal information about my 13-year-old daughter. I refuse to fill out that form. They're
identifying information about her.
Yes. Yeah. Where she lives, her legal name, her date of birth. Why do you need that about a child? So I didn't fill out that part of the form. I left it blank. And they rejected it and sent it back and are demanding that I be held in contempt with sanctions and that I have to pay this money. I have to pay $600,000 plus sanctions and be in contempt of court, which comes with a warrant possibly, because
an arrest warrant.
Because the things I said, which they found him guilty of, I also have to pay, and I'm protecting my child. And you could be the biggest Trump supporter, a woman voting for Trump, love him. Ask that woman, you gonna vote for Trump? Yeah. Do you love Trump? Yeah. How do you feel about him having your young daughter's legal name, address, and identifying information?
Yeah.
And no woman out there, I can imagine, would give that information up. They got my address, and look how quickly that happened. You think I'm going to give up the other address? Because sometimes she's with me, obviously, and sometimes she's with her father. Why would I do that?
But that's essentially, so there's basically two impasses now in terms of that money and that the resolution of that defamation case and you paying the legal fees. One is you don't have the money to pay, but two is they want you as part of that to give over that identifying information about your daughter, and you were refusing.
And even if I had the money, even if I had billions, it's not fair. Why do I have to pay it? And I'm so happy for E.J. and Carol, but like literally the same three sentences, like liar, whack job, like con job or whatever. She gets over 80 million and it costs me over 600,000. It's going to cost my partner his house. It's going to cost my daughter her privacy for the rest of her life. It's not fair.
I feel like, Stormy, the Trump movement has destroyed or tried to destroy a lot of people for posing a threat to Donald Trump or a challenge to him. And there are, as you've been describing, millions of Americans, if not tens of millions of Americans, who have a rooting interest in all of these various efforts to confront him and expose his behavior and hold him accountable for crimes or treachery or whatever. But the rooting interest doesn't help you, right?
No.
Well, more than half the country is rooting for him being held accountable. The people who are actually in the middle of these confrontations are being terrorized and menaced and ruined. And overall, this system, I'm sorry to sort of put this to you, but I feel like the system is unsustainable unless the real live human people who are willing to stand up and be counted and speak the truth against him are themselves protected.
Yeah. Because you could be me.
Yes.
We could all be me. Like anybody out there. They're trying to seize property of people that I care about that's not even mine to scare me. They're trying to ruin my daughter's life before she even has a chance to live it. And they're trying to financially ruin me and take money. Because I told the truth. And I shouldn't have to do that. And I've never asked for help before. I've been fighting this by myself. You know, even the people closest to me, my best friends, my, partners, everyone else can take a break. You know, my best friend Dwayne has been my tour manager, my assistant. He's lived it the most with me, but even he gets to take breaks. He gets to get on a plane and go home and take his kid and his family to Disneyland and not think about it. I am the only person that every single day for the last 6 years, this has bled into my life. Some days worse than others. Some days I'm picking pellets out of my horse's body and getting served papers and sobbing because they're trying to, because I miss my daughter. And she's not safe if she's with me sometimes. And some days it's just things I read on the internet. But every single day, even you, you live this, you tell the story. Even you, Rachel, like there has to be moments where you've gotten to check out, at least for a minute. Yeah. I've never had a day like that in over 6 years.
Your work life has been severely curtailed by this. Changed. You've still got some stuff going. You've been doing comedy events.
I just came back to that last week, but same thing. The owner of the club got death threats.
Really?
I'm from New Orleans, and it's New Orleans, so she didn't care. But like, how many places are out there that I don't know about that are afraid to book me?
How are you gonna make enough money to live?
I'm not. Like, it's literally like between legal fees and not being able to work, especially because I wasn't working during. Remember, the trial got pushed.
Yeah.
So I had taken off a bunch of time before. And then it got extended. So there were several months where I didn't do anything. I just stopped doing my podcast because they were freaking out about everything I said. I didn't even get to tell the podcast company why I stopped talking to them because I didn't want anything I used to be entered in, just create more work for the prosecution, basically. Or I didn't want to be taken off the witness list for all the reasons I told you earlier. There's so many things People being just afraid to hire me. Luckily, I do have some really great people. You know, I host the TV show on Out TV, and I'm starting to go back and do some stand-up comedy and things like that. But I've lost a lot more than I've made. Mostly my peace, mostly my daughter's privacy and time. Time I'll never get back with her.
Given that, are you worried about Trump potentially being elected to a second term?
Shouldn't we all be worried about that?
Are you worried about it particularly for you?
Yes.
Why?
Because I think that he will try to make even more of an example out of me. And also because his followers will probably be even more bold, thinking if they do something, he'll pardon them.
In terms of his own criminal liability, he's due to be sentenced very soon. You said shortly after the verdict that you thought he should be sentenced to jail and community service, working for the less fortunate, or, quote, being the volunteer punching bag at a women's shelter. Do you still feel that way? You still think that?
Yeah, I mean, money's no object to him. For somebody else, finding them a bunch of money could definitely teach them a lesson. In his case, his supporters are just going to throw it at him. And we're talking about a man who got convicted of 34, and they, in one night, how much was it? Like $100 million or something was given to him when he was found guilty. I wish I could be found guilty. It's finding him is not going to do any good.
Yeah.
I think, taking away his control which is freedom, by a jail sentence, if that's what fits it, would teach him the most, because he's so used to being in control.
Yeah.
It's not about locking him out and taking away his freedom, it's about taking away his control. Would be more helpful in this case, I think. And making him do some community service, especially with those people that he looks down upon so much.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.